Starting a culture of any microorganism can be quite challenging. However, in this video, I will try to make the process as simple as possible. I'll be culturing Paramecium caudatum, which are found in freshwater habitats feeding on dead or dying foliage. I gather some of the algae that's dying into my flask and put some of the water from the surroundings inside. I let the flask sit out for about 2 days to allow the population to multiply. This may vary though, and it really depends. Here are the materials you'll need for the experiment portion. For the microscopy portion, it's pretty straightforward. You will just need a microscope, a slide, and a cover slip. The microscope I'm using is a Carson Micropipe Plus, and this video is not sponsored by them, but hey, I'm not complaining, so if they really wanted to sponsor me, well, there you go. But anyways, let's get back into the video. I start out by uncapping my culture, and in this case, I use an Erlenmeyer flask to contain it. Just make sure it's sterilized before you start adding microorganisms and foliage inside. Although not really necessary, gloves are recommended for this because biology can be quite dangerous, just like chemistry. You never really know what kind of microbes could be in this flask, and if there's a harmful bacteria in there, it will definitely infect you if you get it in the wrong places, so it's just good practice to have gloves on. In a small 50 milliliter beaker, I pour the contents of the flask inside. It may be hard to get the algae out because it has a high affinity for the glass, so you might want to use a skewer or something to get it out. Next, I set up a gravity filtration, and the purpose of this is to selectively filter out the Paramecium caudatum. I use half of a paper towel, which is about the perfect amount of pores you want to filter out this Paramecium caudatum. If you're filtering out smaller microbes, you can always just use a full paper towel without separating the two layers. I fold it in half long ways and then short ways to create a pseudo filter. Next, I transfer the contents of the beaker inside, and it's generally good practice to put the algae into, but like I said, I've already done this a day ago to filter out all the big stuff. Next, you want to give the flask a big swirl to suspend the microbes, because what's coming next is pretty cool. You can actually shine a light under the flask, and at the perfect angle, the light will reflect off the microbes. You can actually see them moving around. Most of them are single-celled, so this is quite interesting. You can't really see it in this shot, but if you do it yourself, I promise you might see some stuff if you have good eyes. I transfer back the algae into the flask, and this is important because it provides your microbe with a source of food. On that note, if you're not seeing any significant multiplication within the first few days, feed them a few pellets of yeast per day, and you will see a significant increase in population. Under ideal conditions, populations undergo a J-curve growth, which is an exponential growth in population. On the day that I got this, I barely saw any Paramecium, but just 24 hours after, I saw a 4-fold increase in the population. But anyways, let's get to the microscope portion. I start out by grabbing water with a dropper in different areas of the flask. This is important because Paramecium won't be found clumped up in just one area. Next, I use a needle to grab some algae from the side of the flask, and it's important not to add too much because this can get in the way with the focus of your microscope. I then place my cover slip on and then begin to view. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for joining. Remember, life is very special, so make sure to take good care of yourself. Goodbye.
𝘗𝘢𝘳𝘢𝘮𝘮